Welcome. You're here because you want to fall asleep. And you will. But first, let me tell you something. You wouldn't survive a single night in medieval times. Not one night. And I'm going to tell you exactly why in excruciating, monotonous detail until you drift off into sleep. It's the year 1320, or 1280, or 1410. The exact year doesn't really matter because for peasants, nothing changed much over those centuries. You're a peasant, which means you're one of the millions of faceless, nameless people who made up roughly 80% of Europe's population. History doesn't remember your name. History doesn't care about your name. It's January, the coldest month. The month when people die in their sleep from the cold. The month when food stores run low. The month when surviving until spring seems like an impossible dream. Outside, snow covers everything. The fields you worked all summer are frozen solid. The roads are impossible. Your village is cut off from the world. Not that it matters. You rarely leave your village anyway. Most peasants live and die within a 5-mile radius of where they were born. The sun is setting. This is the most dangerous time. The temperature will drop. The darkness will come. And you will have to survive the next 12 hours with nothing but medieval technology. No thermostat. No electric blanket. No furnace. No insulation in the modern sense. Just you, your family, your animals, and a small fire that must not go out. Let me describe to you in careful detail exactly what your night will be like. Every small thing. Every uncomfortable reality. Every aspect of survival that you take for granted in your modern life. By the time I'm done, you'll either be asleep or you'll be grateful for the warm bed you're lying in right now. Let's begin with the house itself. Because before we can understand the night, we need to understand the space where you'll spend it. Your house is small, very small, about 15 feet by 20 feet. That's 300 square feet. For comparison, a modern American parking space is about 180 square feet. Your entire house is less than 2 parking spaces. The walls are made using a technique called wattle and daub. I'm going to explain this in detail because the details are important and because repetitive explanations help you fall asleep. First, wooden poles are driven into the ground. Vertical posts, about 6 inches apart. These form the frame. Between these vertical posts, thin branches are woven horizontally, back and forth, over and under, over and under. Like weaving a basket, this is the wattle, then comes the daub. A mixture of clay, mud, straw, and animal dung, usually cow dung, sometimes horse dung. The dung contains fibers that help bind the mixture. The dung also makes it smell, but everyone's house smells the same way, so no one notices. This mixture is packed into the gaps between the woven branches, packed tightly, smoothed by hand, left to dry for weeks. When it dries, it becomes hard, almost like concrete, but not quite as strong, and definitely not as waterproof. The daub cracks. Over time, gaps form. Cold air seeps through these gaps. In winter, you can feel drafts throughout the house. You stuff the cracks with more mud, more straw, pieces of cloth, anything you can find. But new cracks always form. The floor is packed earth. Just dirt, compressed by decades of footsteps. Sometimes straw is scattered on top to absorb moisture and provide a tiny bit of insulation. The straw gets dirty. It gets wet. It gets replaced every few weeks or months, depending on how much straw you have. When it rains heavily, water seeps up through the floor. The house becomes muddy inside. You walk through mud to get to your bed. Your bed is also in the mud. Everything is damp. The roof is thatched, made from bundled reeds or straw, layer upon layer, carefully overlapped so that rain runs off instead of soaking through. A well-made thatched roof can last 20 or 30 years. Poorly made, it might last 5. Your roof is somewhere in between. It leaks in a few places. You know where these places are. You've positioned things to avoid them. The leak over the northwest corner drips onto the floor. The leak near the east wall drips into a wooden bucket that you empty every morning. The roof is home to many creatures. Mice nest in the thatch. Birds build nests in the eaves. Insects live throughout. Sometimes a snake takes up residence, hunting the mice. You can hear these creatures at night, scrabbling, rustling, squeaking. There are no gutters. When it rains, water pours off the roof and creates a muddy trench around the perimeter of the house. This trench is permanent. It's always there. In winter, it freezes into ridges of ice. The door is made from rough planks. Oak if you're fortunate. Pine if you're not. The planks are bound together with iron straps. Iron is expensive. The hinges are leather, which is cheaper than metal hinges. The leather stretches and cracks over time. The door sags. It scrapes the ground when you open it. It doesn't fit tightly in the frame. You can see daylight around the edges. There's a simple latch, a rope threaded through a hole. You pull the rope from outside to lift the latch. At night, you tie the rope on the inside so no one can enter. This is your security system. The windows are small, very small, about 1 foot by 1 foot. There are only 2 windows. Glass is far too expensive. Instead, the windows are covered with treated animal skins. Pig bladder stretched thin and oiled to make it translucent, or oiled cloth. These coverings let in some light, but everything outside looks blurry and indistinct. At night, wooden shutters close over the windows. The shutters are secured with a wooden peg. This keeps out some of the cold. Some, not all. This is your house. This is where you will spend the night, every night, for your entire life. Now let's go inside. Push open the door. Duck your head. The door frame is only about 5 feet high. This keeps the heat in. Step over the threshold. Close the door behind you. Let your eyes adjust to the darkness. 1 room, a single room. Approximately 300 square feet, as I mentioned. This room serves every function of your life. This is your kitchen, your dining room, your bedroom, your workshop, your storage area, your barn. Your entire world exists in this one space. The smell hits you immediately. Smoke. That's the dominant smell. Wood smoke. It fills the room constantly. There is no proper chimney. Just a hole in the roof that lets some of the smoke escape. Most of it lingers, drifting through the room, making your eyes water, coating every surface with a thin layer of soot. Beyond the smoke, there are other smells. Unwashed bodies. You haven't bathed in weeks. No one has. Bathing is rare in winter. Water must be heated and fuel is precious. So you wear the same clothes day after day, week after week. The clothes absorb your sweat, your body oils, the smoke from the fire. They develop their own smell. There's the smell of animals. 3 chickens are roosting in a small coop in the corner. You can hear them clucking softly. Their droppings accumulate on the floor of the coop, adding to the aroma. There's the smell of food. A pot hangs over the fire, containing the remnants of this morning's porridge. The smell is bland, oats, water, a hint of salt if you're lucky. There's the smell of damp straw, the straw on the floor, the straw in the mattresses. It's never completely dry. In winter, everything is slightly damp. These smells combine into a single distinctive odor that you don't notice anymore, because you've lived with it your entire life. But a modern person would find it overwhelming, suffocating, unbearable. Let your eyes continue to adjust. Notice the details. The ceiling is low, about 6.5 feet at the highest point. The beams are rough-hewn logs blackened by years of smoke. Soot hangs from them in delicate fibrous strands. If you brush against the ceiling, black soot falls onto your head and shoulders. On the beams, things hang. Bundles of dried herbs, sage, thyme, rosemary. These are for cooking, but also for protection. Medieval people believed that certain herbs ward off evil spirits and disease. Whether they work or not doesn't matter. The belief is comforting. There are also strings of onions, garlic. These will last through the winter if you ration them carefully. A sack hangs from one beam. It contains grain, barley probably. It's hung high to keep it away from mice. This doesn't always work. You can see gnaw marks on the sack. Now look at the floor. Packed earth, as I mentioned, covered with loose straw. The straw is old, compressed, dirty. In some places it's rotted into a kind of mat. This will need to be replaced soon, but you're saving your fresh straw for the animal bedding. Animals are more valuable than comfort. The walls are mostly bare. The wattle and daub is visible, smoke-stained and stained with grease from years of cooking. In a few places there are pegs driven into the walls. On these pegs hang various items, a sickle. Its blade is worn but sharp. You use it to cut grain during harvest, a billhook. For cutting wood and clearing brush, rope, coiled and hanging. Rope is valuable. You make it yourself from plant fibers. A few pieces of clothing, an extra tunic, a worn cloak. These are not clean clothes waiting to be worn. These are just stored here because there's nowhere else to put them. Near the door, there's a bucket, wooden, for carrying water from the stream. The stream is a quarter-mile away. In winter, you break the ice to get to the water beneath. In the corner, there's the chicken coop, woven from thin branches. The chickens are already settling for the night, their heads tucked under their wings. They provide eggs. Not many in winter, but some. They're too valuable to eat unless they stop laying. Now look toward the center of the room, the hearth. The hearth is the heart of the house. It's a slightly raised area bordered by flat stones. The The stones are blackened and cracked from heat. In the center, a small fire burns. The fire is never large. Wood is too precious. Just enough flame to provide warmth and light. The fire has been burning continuously since. You don't even remember. Months, certainly. Possibly years. If the fire goes out, starting it again requires flint and steel and patience. So the fire never goes out. Someone always tends it. The cooking pot hangs from an iron hook over the fire. The pot is black with soot. You never fully clean it. You just scrape out the old food and add new. The pot is one of your most valuable possessions. Iron is expensive. Near the hearth there's a small pile of firewood, carefully stacked. You brought this wood in yesterday, selecting the driest pieces from your winter store. The wood pile outside is covered with old sacking to keep off the snow, but the wood is never truly dry in winter. It hisses and pops when it burns, fighting to ignite. Now look at the furniture. There isn't much. A rough table, made from split logs. It's not level. One leg is shorter than the others. You've wedged a stone under it to stabilize it. 3 stools, tree stumps really, cut to sitting height. The bark is worn smooth by years of use. A bench along one wall, also made from split logs. This is where you sit to eat, to work, to rest. And in the darkest corner there's the chest. A wooden chest about 3 feet long, 2 feet wide, 2 feet deep. It has a curved lid. Iron bands reinforce the corners. A lock secures it. This chest contains everything valuable that your family owns. Inside the chest, a spare blanket carefully folded. A small bag containing a few coins saved over years. A wooden cross. A clay pot containing salt. Salt is expensive. You use it sparingly. Maybe a small piece of jewelry that belonged to your grandmother. A contract or deed. If you're one of the few peasants who owns your land rather than renting it from a lord, the chest is locked. Always locked. The key hangs on a string around your wife's neck. She never removes it. This is the entire material wealth of your family. Everything you own in the world fits in this chest and hangs on these walls. Now look toward the back corner, the sleeping area. There are 3 sleeping platforms, raised wooden frames about a foot off the ground. The frames are built against the walls to conserve space. On each frame is a mattress, but not a mattress as you understand it. These are large sacks, burlap or rough linen, stuffed with straw. The straw pokes through the fabric. The sacks are lumpy, uneven. You can feel every piece of straw when you lie down. Each sleeping platform has a blanket. Wool, thick, heavy wool, scratchy. It smells of sheep and smoke. The blanket is large enough to cover 2 or 3 people. Everyone shares blankets. There are no pillows as you know them. Instead, there are smaller sacks also filled with straw. Or you fold up a cloak or tunic to rest your head on. This is where you will sleep tonight. Where your entire family will sleep. In this one room. Together. Let's meet your family. Your wife is by the fire, stirring the pot. She's about 30 years old, but she looks older. Life ages people quickly in medieval times. Her face is lined. Her hands are rough, reddened by cold water and hard work. She wears a long dress made of rough wool, brown. It was once a lighter brown, but years of wear and smoke have darkened it. Over the dress she wears an apron, also brown, also stained. Her hair is covered with a linen head wrap. Married women always cover their hair. It's proper, modest. Her hair itself is unwashed. It hasn't been washed in weeks, maybe months. Washing hair requires heating water and using precious soap. So her hair is oily, matted under the wrap. She's been awake since before dawn. She woke in the dark, rekindled the fire, let the chickens out, fetched water from the stream, started the morning porridge, fed the children, sent you and your eldest son to work in the barn, swept the floor, mended a tear in your son's tunic, prepared the noon meal, hauled more water, fed the chickens again, started the evening stew, brought in firewood, and now she's stirring the pot while also spinning wool on a drop spindle. She will work until she goes to bed. She will wake during the night to tend the fire. She will wake before dawn tomorrow and do it all again. This is her life. Every day. Until she dies, she doesn't complain. Complaining doesn't change anything. This is just how life is. Your eldest child is a girl, 12 years old. She looks like her mother will look. She's already learning all the skills she'll need. Cooking, spinning, weaving, mending, hauling water, feeding animals. She works alongside her mother all day, every day. In a few years she'll marry, probably to a boy from this village or the next village over. The marriage will be arranged by you and the boy's father. She'll move to her husband's house. She'll have children. She'll work until she dies. This is her future, and she knows it and accepts it. She's currently helping her mother prepare the evening meal, cutting turnips with a small knife. The knife is dull. It needs sharpening, but the person who sharpens knives only comes through the village twice a year. So she works with the dull knife, sawing back and forth to cut through the tough turnip skin. Your middle child is a boy, 9 years old. He's small for his age. Nutrition is limited. Children don't grow as large in medieval times as they do in modern times. He spent the day with you, learning farm work, how to muck out the barn, how to repair a fence, how to judge if a sheep is sick. He's learning the skills he'll need to survive as an adult. He will be a peasant farmer just like you, just like your father, just like your grandfather. This is the only future available to him. Right now he's feeding small sticks into the fire, carefully, one at a time. He knows that wood must not be wasted. He selects the driest pieces from the pile. He places them just so in the hottest part of the fire. He watches them catch and burn. This task is important. Someone must always tend the fire. Usually the children do this. It teaches them responsibility. It teaches them how precious fire is. Your youngest child is a boy, about 4 years old. He's sitting near his mother, playing with a small carved wooden horse. You made the horse for him last winter, whittling it from a piece of scrap wood during the long dark evenings. He's too young to work yet, but he watches everything. He's learning by watching how his sister cuts vegetables, how his brother tends the fire, how his mother spins wool, how you maintain the tools. Children learn by observation and imitation in medieval times. There are no schools for peasants, no books, no formal education. You learn by doing. This youngest child is quiet, too quiet. He coughs sometimes, a wet, rattling cough. This worries you. 2 of your children died before they reached their first birthday. Sickness is common. Medicine is non-existent, at least for peasants. If he gets seriously ill, you'll pray. That's all you can do. Pray and hope. In the corner, there's one more member of the household, the grandmother. Your wife's mother. She's about 55 years old. This is very old for medieval times. Most people don't live this long. She sits on a stool near the fire, wrapped in several layers of clothing. An old dress, a shawl, another shawl over that. Her hands are gnarled with arthritis, but they're moving constantly, spinning wool on a drop spindle. She's been spinning wool since she was a child. Her hands know the motion without thinking. Twist, pull, wind, twist, pull, wind, over and over. For hours, for days, for years, for a lifetime. She doesn't talk much anymore. Her teeth are mostly gone. The few that remain hurt. She eats soft foods, porridge, bread soaked in broth. She can't chew meat, she sleeps poorly. Her bones ache in the cold. She wakes often during the night, staring into the darkness, waiting for dawn. She's valuable, though. She knows things. Which herbs stop bleeding? Which herbs reduce fever? How to predict the weather by watching the sky? How to know when to plant crops? How to preserve food for winter? She's a repository of knowledge. When she dies, some of that knowledge will die with her. This is your family. 5 people, 6 including you, all living in this one room, all dependent on each other for survival. Because survival in medieval times is not an individual activity. It's a collective effort. Now it's time for the evening meal. Your wife ladles stew from the pot into wooden bowls. There are 5 bowls. 1 for you, 1 for her, 1 for the grandmother, 1 for the older girl, 1 for the older boy. The youngest child will share his mother's bowl. He's not old enough for his own bowl yet. The bowls are rough, carved from wood, darkened by age and grease and smoke. They're never fully clean. You wipe them out with a piece of bread after eating. That's the extent of cleaning. Water is too precious to waste on washing dishes. You all gather around the table. Well, not quite all. There's not enough room. You and your wife sit on the stools. The grandmother sits on her usual stool by the fire. The children sit on the bench. Before eating, there's a moment of prayer. Your wife crosses herself. You bow your head. A simple prayer. Thank you for this food. Thank you for this day. Protect us through the night. Amen. The prayer is sincere. You're genuinely grateful for the food. Many people have less. You've heard stories of villages where people starved last winter. Your village did better. Your harvest was adequate. Not good, but adequate. You have enough food to last until spring, probably. Now you eat. The stew is simple. Turnips, onions, barley, all boiled together in water. There's no meat. Meat is rare. You might eat meat a few times a year, holidays, special occasions. The rest of the time it's vegetables and grain. The stew is bland. There's a tiny bit of salt. Salt is expensive, so you use it sparingly. There are no other spices. Pepper costs more than you earn in a month. You've never tasted pepper. You've heard of it. Wealthy people eat it, but you never will. The stew is hot though, and that's what matters. Hot food warms you from the inside. You can feel the warmth spreading through your body as you swallow. This warmth is important. It's part of your survival strategy for the night. You also have bread. Dark, dense bread made from a mixture of rye and barley. The bread is coarse, gritty. Bits of grain husk stick in your teeth. The bread is hard. You have to tear it with your hands and soak it in the stew to soften it enough to chew. This bread is nutritious though, dense, heavy, full of fiber. One piece of this bread is more filling than 3 slices of modern white bread. It sits in your stomach like a stone, and that's good. That full feeling will last all night. Everyone eats slowly, savoring every bite. Not because it tastes good, but because you don't know when you'll feel full again. The midday meal was smaller. Breakfast was just porridge. This evening's stew is the main meal of the day. No one talks while eating. Talking wastes energy. You need your energy for chewing, for swallowing, for digesting. So you eat in silence. The only sounds are chewing, swallowing, spoons scraping against wooden bowls, the fire crackling. The youngest child eats from his mother's bowl. She feeds him small bites, blowing on each spoonful to cool it. His cough is worse today. She notices. You notice. Neither of you says anything. What would you say? There's nothing to be done. The grandmother eats slowly. Her jaw aches. Her remaining teeth hurt. She soaks her bread until it's almost liquid. She takes tiny spoonfuls of stew, swallows carefully. She can't eat much anymore. She's getting thinner. You can see her bones through her skin. But she's eating. That's good. As long as she's eating, she's surviving. The older children eat quickly. They're always hungry. Growing children need food, but there's never quite enough. They finish their portions and look hopefully at the pot. But there's no more. What's in the pot is tomorrow's breakfast. It must be saved. Your wife doesn't take a full portion. She serves everyone else first. Then she eats what's left. This is normal. Mothers eat last. Mothers eat least. They sacrifice their own nutrition so the children can have more. You notice. You always notice. But you don't say anything. This is how it's always been. This is how it must be. The meal takes perhaps 15 minutes. That's all. There's not enough food to take longer. When everyone's bowl is empty, your wife wipes them out with pieces of bread. The bread absorbs the last traces of stew. Nothing is wasted. The bread is eaten. The bowls are stacked. The meal is over. Now the long evening begins. After the meal, the family settles into evening routines. These routines are the same every evening. The repetition is comforting, predictable, safe. Your wife is cleaning the pot, not with water. Water is too precious. She's scraping it with a wooden spoon, getting out the stuck-on bits. These scrapings fall into a bowl. Tomorrow they'll go back into the pot with water and barley to make breakfast porridge. Nothing is wasted. The older girl is helping her, learning, always learning. Someday, she'll have her own pot, her own fire, her own family to feed. She needs to know how to make a little food go a long way. The grandmother has returned to her spinning. Her hands move automatically. Twist, pull, wind. She's been spinning for 50 years. She could do it in her sleep. Maybe she does do it in her sleep. The wool she's spinning will eventually become thread. The thread will be woven into cloth. The cloth will become a new tunic for one of the children. Every step takes time, weeks, months. But this is how clothing happens in medieval times. Slowly, laboriously. The younger boy is still tending the fire. He adds a stick, watches it catch, adds another. His face is serious, concentrated. This is important work and he knows it. You're sitting on the bench, working on a piece of harness. that broke today. The leather is old, dried out. It cracked right through. You're trying to repair it with a scrap of newer leather and some sinew. You work by firelight and by feel. Your fingers are thick, calloused, clumsy with this delicate work, but you persist. You can't afford to have the harness fail again. You need it for plowing in the spring. The youngest child is getting sleepy. His eyes are drooping. His mother picks him up, holds him in her lap. She rocks him gently, hums a wordless tune, soft, repetitive. A lullaby that has no words, just sound. The child's cough rattles in his chest. She holds him tighter, rocks him more, hums more. This is all she can do. Outside, the darkness is complete now, total, absolute. There is no moon tonight. The stars are hidden behind clouds. The world beyond your door is utterly black. The wind is picking up. You can hear it, whistling through the thatch, rattling the shutters, finding every crack in the walls and pushing cold air through. Little drafts curl along the floor. You feel them on your ankles. It's getting colder. You can feel the temperature dropping. This will be a bitter night. The fire seems smaller suddenly, more fragile. The flames dance and flicker in the drafts. You find yourself watching the fire, making sure it stays lit. The fire is life. The fire is safety. The fire must not go out. Your wife finishes with the pot and hangs it back on its hook. She picks up her own drop spindle and sits by the fire next to the grandmother. 2 generations of women, both spinning. The grandmother's hands are faster, more practiced. Your wife's hands are slower but steadier. They work in silence. There's nothing to say. Time passes. How much time? It's hard to say. There are no clocks, no way to measure the hours. You judge time by the fire, by how many sticks have burned, by how tired you feel. The children are getting sleepy. The older girl is yawning. The boy's head is drooping. The youngest is already asleep in his mother's arms. It's time for bed. The long night is beginning. Your wife stands carefully, cradling the sleeping 4-year-old. She carries him to the sleeping platform in the corner, the platform that belongs to you, to her, to the baby. She lays him down gently on the straw mattress. He doesn't wake. She covers him with the wool blanket, tucks it around him, whispers a prayer over him, a prayer for protection through the night. The older girl goes to her sleeping platform. She shares it with her brother. They've shared since they were small. There's no privacy in a medieval household, no separate rooms for boys and girls. Everyone sleeps where there is space. She lies down on the straw mattress, fully clothed. Everyone sleeps fully clothed in winter. Your layers of clothing are your blankets. She's wearing a long wool tunic, a shorter tunic under that. Wool stockings wrapped around her legs, a head wrap. All of this stays on. Her brother lies down next to her, also fully clothed. They curl up together, front to back, sharing body heat. She's bigger, so she forms the outer layer. She protects him from the cold. He nestles against her. They pull the single blanket over both of them. The grandmother is already on her sleeping platform. She's been settling herself for the past few minutes, lowering herself slowly, carefully. Her joints hurt. Everything hurts. She lies on her side, knees pulled up, arms wrapped around herself. She has 2 blankets because she's old and cold, but even 2 blankets aren't enough. She's always cold now. You check the fire. This is your job. The last task before sleep. You take the burning logs and push them together into a tight pile. You rake the hot coals into a neat mound at the center. Then very carefully you cover the coals with a layer of ash. Not too thick, not too thin, just right. This is called banking the fire. It's a skill, an art. Done correctly, the coals will stay alive all night under their blanket of ash, glowing, waiting. In the morning, you'll brush away the ash, add kindling, blow gently, and the fire will spring back to life. Done incorrectly, the fire dies, and starting it again in the cold morning requires flint, steel, dry tinder, and 20 minutes of frustration. You've been banking fires since you were a child. You know how to do it. But you're always nervous, always careful. Because fire is life, you check the door. Make sure the latch is secure. Not that there's much to steal, but still, the door must be latched. The rope must be tied on the inside. This is the ritual. You check the shutters. Make sure they're tightly closed. Pegs in place. Every crack blocked. The wind is howling now. The shutters rattle, but they hold. You walk to the sleeping platform. Your wife is already there, lying down, the baby between her and the wall. You lie down on the outer edge. The platform is barely big enough for 3. Your legs hang off the edge slightly. That's normal. You're used to it. The straw mattress crunches and rustles beneath you. You shift, trying to find a comfortable position. There isn't one. The straw pokes through the fabric. A sharp piece jabs into your shoulder blade. You shift again. Another piece pokes your hip. You'll have little red marks on your skin in the morning. You always do. Your wife pulls the blanket up over all 3 of you. The blanket is heavy, wool, scratchy. It smells like sheep and smoke and unwashed bodies. But it's warm, or it will be warm, once your combined body heat is trapped beneath it. The room is dark now. The only light comes from the faint red glow of the banked coals. You can barely see the shapes of your children on their sleeping platforms. The grandmother on hers. Everyone is settling down, finding positions, getting comfortable as much as that's possible. You lie on your back, staring up at the dark ceiling. You can't see the beams, but you know they're there. You know every inch of this house. You were born in this house. Your father was born in this house. Your grandfather built this house. You will die in this house. Your children will inherit it. This is your legacy. These walls, this roof, this single room. Your wife shifts beside you. The baby coughs in his sleep. She reaches over you, pats his back gently. The coughing stops. She settles back down. Her breathing slows. She's falling asleep already. She's exhausted. She's always exhausted. You're tired too. Your body aches. Your back hurts from bending over all day. Your hands hurt. Your shoulders hurt. Everything hurts. This is normal. Pain is constant at your age. 38 years old. Not young anymore. Not old yet. But worn, you close your eyes. Try to sleep. But sleep doesn't come immediately. Your mind is still working. Thinking about tomorrow. The cow needs milking at dawn. The fence needs repair before spring. The grain stores. Are they enough? Will they last until harvest? What if the spring is late? What if stop? Don't think about it. Tomorrow has its own worries. Tonight you just need to survive the cold and wake up alive in the morning. Breathe slowly. In and out. In and out. Feel the warmth building under the blanket. Feel your wife's warmth next to you. Feel the baby's small body radiating heat. You're all pressed together, sharing warmth, sharing life. This is how you survive. The sounds of night. 68 Samujur 78. The house settles into the sounds of night. These sounds are familiar, comforting in their way. You know each one. The wind. Always the wind. It's stronger now. It howls around the corners of the house. It finds every crack, every gap, and whistles through. A high-pitched, keening sound. Sometimes it sounds almost human, like voices, like crying. Medieval people believed that demons and evil spirits roamed at night. When you hear the wind screaming, you can almost believe it, but you don't believe it. Not really. You're too tired to believe in demons. The wind is just wind, cold air moving. Nothing more, the fire. You can hear it even though it's banked. A faint crackling. A soft hissing as moisture in the wood evaporates. Occasionally a small pop as a pocket of sap explodes. These sounds are soothing. As long as you hear the fire, you know it's still alive. The thatch. The wind makes the thatch rustle and whisper. Thousands of dry reeds rubbing together. It sounds like distant waves, like the sea. Though you've never seen the sea. You've never been more than 10 miles from this village. But you imagine this is what the sea sounds like. There are creatures in the thatch. You can hear them, scrabbling, scratching, little claws on wood, little feet running, mice. They're always there. You've tried to keep them out, but it's impossible. They find ways in. They nest in the warm thatch. They come down at night looking for food. You've gotten used to them. Sometimes a mouse runs across the floor. You can hear it, a quick pattering. It's looking for crumbs, grain spilled from the sack, anything edible. The cat would catch it, but you don't have a cat. Cats are for wealthy people. You have to coexist with the mice. In the corner, the chickens are making soft sounds, quiet clucks, the rustling of feathers. They're sleeping, but chickens sleep lightly. Every sound alerts them briefly. Then they settle back down. Your daughter coughs, a small dry cough, then silence. Then your son shifts on the straw mattress. The straw rustles loudly. He mutters something in his sleep. Words you can't make out. He's dreaming. Children dream more than adults. Or maybe adults just stop remembering their dreams. The grandmother is snoring, a soft rhythmic sound, like a saw going through wood, back and forth, back and forth. She snores every night. You barely notice it anymore. It's part of the night's texture. Your wife's breathing has deepened. She's asleep now, truly asleep. Her breath is warm against your shoulder, steady, regular, in and out, in and out. The baby's breathing is faster, shallower, the way small children breathe. But there's a rattle in it, a wet sound. His lungs. You try not to think about it, try not to worry. But you do worry. You can't help it. Outside a dog barks, one of the village dogs. Then another dog answers, then another. A whole chorus of barking. They're alerting each other to something. A fox probably, or a badger. Some creature moving through the darkness. The dogs bark for a while, then stop. Silence returns, the wind gusts harder. The whole house shudders. You hear the shutters rattling. You hear the door creaking against its leather hinges. You hear the thatch lifting slightly, then settling back down. The house holds. It always holds. This house has survived 50 years of winters. It will survive this one too, but you listen to every sound. Alert for problems. Alert for danger. The sound of cracking wood might mean the roof is failing. The smell of smoke might mean something is burning. The sound of the door opening might mean... But no, the door is latched. No one is coming in. You're safe. As safe as anyone can be in medieval winter. Inside. Sheltered. With your family around you. With fire still glowing in the hearth. Time passes. You're not sure how much time. Minutes? An hour? There's no way to know. The darkness is absolute. You exist in a timeless space between waking and sleeping. Your body begins to relax. The warmth from the blanket, from your wife, from the baby is seeping into your muscles. Your breathing slows to match your wife's breathing. Slow, deep, regular. You're falling asleep, but just as you begin to drift off, the baby coughs. A terrible, harsh, rattling cough. Once, twice, 3 times. He's choking on something. Phlegm, probably. He gasps for air. Your wife wakes instantly. She sits up, pulls him to her, pats his back firmly, trying to dislodge whatever is blocking his airway. He coughs again, finally gasps a full breath, starts breathing normally, still rattling, but breathing. She holds him for a long time, rocking, humming, making sure he's all right. You're awake now too, listening, waiting, making sure. Finally, she lays him back down, settles herself, pulls the blanket back up. Neither of you speaks. What would you say? The moment passes. The baby sleeps. Your wife sleeps. You try to sleep, and eventually you do. Deep night, the coldest hours. 78 or 88 mo, the middle of the night. The coldest part. The darkest part. The fire has died down to almost nothing. Just a faint red glow beneath the ash. The room is colder now. Much colder. Your breath makes little clouds in the air, though you can't see them in the darkness. The cold seeps through everything. Through the walls. Through the floor. Through the blanket. It finds you no matter how you try to hide from it. Your feet are cold. Your feet are always the first to get cold. They're at the edge of the blanket, farthest from the collective body heat. You pull your knees up, trying to tuck your feet under the blanket more completely. But this exposes your shoulders to the cold. There's no winning position. You're always sacrificing one part of your body to protect another. Under the blanket, the air is warm, humid with breath and body heat, but just barely warm. If you move, if you create a gap in the blanket, cold air rushes in and you lose all the warmth you've built up. So you stay very still, barely breathing, not moving. Your wife is pressed against you. The baby is pressed against her. You're sharing every scrap of warmth you have. The baby is the warmest. Small bodies burn hotter. He's like a little furnace between you. But even he is cold. You can feel him shivering slightly in his sleep. On the other sleeping platform, your older children are curled together in the same way, sharing warmth, sharing breath. Your daughter's body curved around your son's body. Both of them as still as statues, trying not to lose heat. The grandmother is suffering the most. Old people feel the cold more. Their bodies don't generate as much heat. She's awake. You can tell by her breathing. It's not the deep, slow breathing of sleep. It's shallow, controlled. She's lying very still, conserving energy, trying to stay warm. She won't complain. She never complains. But you know she's cold. You know she's in pain. Her joints ache in the cold. Her bones ache. Everything aches. She'll endure it silently until morning. This is what old people do. They endure. The wind is howling constantly now. It's found a crack somewhere and is whistling through it. A high, thin sound that goes on and on. You listen to it. Try to identify where it's coming from. The west wall, you think. There must be a new crack in the daub. You'll need to repair it tomorrow. Add it to the endless list of repairs that never ends. A gust of wind hits the house hard. The whole structure shudders, sways slightly. You hold your breath, waiting, listening for the sound of something breaking. But nothing breaks. The house holds. You hear a thump from above. Something on the roof. Probably snow sliding off the thatch. Or a branch falling. Or an animal. You listen. No more sounds. Whatever it was, it's gone. Time crawls. Minutes feel like hours. Hours feel like days. You're exhausted, but you can't fully sleep. You drift in and out. Half asleep. Half awake. In that strange state where you're conscious, but not quite thinking. Just existing. Just enduring. At some point, you notice that you need to urinate. This is a problem. The chamber pot is across the room near the door. To get to it, you'd have to leave the warmth of the blanket, leave the warmth of the bed, walk across the cold floor in the dark, and then come back and try to get warm again. You decide to wait. Hold it, it's not urgent yet. Maybe you can wait until morning. You pull the blanket tighter and try to ignore your bladder. Your back is hurting. The straw mattress is too thin. You can feel the wooden boards beneath it pressing into your spine. You need to shift position. But moving means disturbing the careful arrangement of bodies and blankets. Moving means letting cold air in. Moving means waking your wife. You shift very, very slowly. Just a tiny bit, trying to relieve the pressure on your spine without causing problems. Your wife murmurs in her sleep but doesn't wake. Good, the grandmother coughs. A dry, hacking cough. She's trying to muffle it, but you can hear it clearly in the silent room. She coughs again and again. She's trying not to cough, trying to suppress it, but she can't. The coughing fit goes on for perhaps 30 seconds, then stops. She gasps for breath, settles back down. Silence returns. You think about death. You don't mean to. You don't want to. But in the cold darkness, thoughts turn to death. 3 of your children died. 2 in infancy. 1 at age 6, fever. There was nothing you could do. You buried them in the churchyard. Small graves. You think about them sometimes. Wonder what they would have looked like if they'd grown. Wonder if they're cold in the ground. Stop thinking about it. Think about something else. Think about spring. Think about warmth. Think about the sun on your face. Think about planting time. Think about harvest. Think about anything except death and cold. You pray, silently. Not formal prayers. Just words. Thoughts directed at God. Please let us survive this night. Please let the baby get better. Please let the grandmother last through the winter. Please let us have enough food. Please let the spring come early. Please, please. Prayer helps a little. It gives your mind something to do besides worry. Time passes. Slowly. So slowly. You drift into actual sleep, finally. A light sleep. A cold sleep. But sleep nonetheless. You wake suddenly. Completely. Wide awake. Something is wrong. You lie still, listening. What woke you? Was it a sound? A smell? A feeling? Then you hear it. A bleating sound from outside. The goat. She's in the small barn attached to the house. She's making noise. This isn't normal. Animals are quiet at night. You listen harder. The bleating comes again. Plaintive, distressed. Something is wrong with the goat. Or something is threatening the goat. A fox? A wolf? In winter, hungry predators come close to houses looking for easy prey. You have to check. The goat is valuable. She gives milk. She's pregnant due to kid in early spring. You can't lose her. You carefully, slowly lift the blanket. Cold air rushes in immediately. Your wife stirs. What is it? She whispers. The goat, you whisper back. Something's wrong. She nods. Says nothing more. This is life. Animals have problems. You deal with it, you stand. The floor is shockingly cold under your feet, ice cold. You feel it through your wrapped footcloths. You fumble in the darkness for your cloak. Find it hanging on its peg. Wrap it around your shoulders. You go to the fire. Kneel beside it. Brush away some of the ash covering the coals. They're still glowing. Still alive. Good. You grab a stick from the woodpile and hold the end to the coals. Blow gently. The stick smolders, starts to glow, finally catches flame. You have a torch. The torch doesn't give much light, but it's enough. You can see shapes now, shadows. You go to the door, lift the latch. The door swings open with a creak. Cold, such cold. The air outside is brutally, viciously cold. It hits your face like a slap, takes your breath away. The temperature has dropped far below freezing. This is killing cold. The kind of cold that kills travelers caught outside. The kind of cold that kills old people in their sleep. You step outside. The wind hits you, cuts through your cloak, through your tunic, straight to your skin. You gasp. The snow is knee-deep. It fell while you were sleeping. The whole world is white and black and silent. The sky is clear now. Stars everywhere. So many stars. In the clear cold, they seem close enough to touch. Your torch flickers in the wind. Almost goes out. You shield it with your body. Walk carefully through the snow to the barn. The barn is small. Barely big enough for one cow, one goat, and a small stack of hay. The walls are the same wattle and daub as the house. The roof is thatch. There's no door, just an opening covered with old sacking to keep out some of the wind. You pull aside the sacking and hold up your torch. The goat is standing, bleating, agitated. The cow is lying down, chewing cud, unbothered. You look around quickly. No fox, no wolf, no predator. So why is the goat upset? Then you see it. She's in labor. She's kidding. Now, tonight, in the middle of the worst cold. This is bad. Kids born in deep winter often die. They're too small, too fragile. They can't maintain their body temperature. Even in the barn, it's too cold. But there's nothing you can do to stop it. Nature doesn't wait for convenient timing. The kid is coming whether you're ready or not. You watch. The goat paces, bleats, lies down, stands up, lies down again. She's in pain. She's scared. You can't help her. You can only watch. Time passes. Perhaps 20 minutes. Perhaps longer. It's hard to judge. Finally, with a rush of fluid and blood, the kid is born. It drops onto the straw. Lies still. Too still. The mother goat turns immediately. Starts licking the kid. Licking frantically. Cleaning the birth fluids away. Stimulating the kid. Trying to warm it. Trying to make it live. You watch. Holding your breath. The kid doesn't move. Then suddenly it shudders. Gasps. Begins to breathe. Its legs twitch. It's alive. Thank God. Thank God. But it's so small. So wet. It's already shivering. The cold is stealing its body heat. It won't survive out here. Not tonight. Not in this cold. You make a decision. You pull off your cloak. Wrap it around the kid. Pick it up. It weighs almost nothing. You can feel its heart beating fast. Too fast. It makes a weak sound. A tiny bleat. You carry it to the house. The mother goat bleats in protest. Tries to follow. You call back to her. Later, morning, I'll bring him back. You push through the snow. Back to the door. Inside. Close the door behind you. The warmth of the house, what little there is, feels like summer compared to outside. Your wife is awake, sitting up, holding the baby. What happened? The goat kidded. It's too cold. I brought the kid inside. She nods. Doesn't argue. Doesn't question. Animals are more valuable than comfort. The kid needs to survive. You unwrap your cloak. The kid is still shivering. Still weak. You do the only thing you can do. You put it on your sleeping platform, right next to the baby. Cover them both with the blanket. The kid's body pressed against the human baby's body. Sharing warmth, this is the medieval way. Animals and humans together. Survival is survival. There's no room for squeamishness. The kid needs warmth, and the only warmth available is human warmth. Your wife lies back down. You lie down. The four of you, man, woman, human baby, goat kid, all pressed together under one blanket. Sharing heat, sharing life. The kid stops shivering after a while. Its breathing slows, becomes regular. It's warming up. It's going to survive. You close your eyes. Try to sleep again. Your feet are frozen. Your hands are frozen. Your face hurts from the cold. But you're alive. Your family is alive. The kid is alive. Good enough. Sleep comes eventually. You wake to gray light filtering through the cracks in the shutters. Dawn. You survived the night. Another night. Another small victory against death and cold and darkness. Your body is stiff. sore. Everything hurts. Your back, your shoulders, your hips. The straw mattress has left marks on your skin. Your joints are frozen. Moving is difficult, painful, but you move anyway. Because the day's work is waiting, the kid is still alive, still warm against the baby. It opens its eyes, looks at you, makes a soft sound. Good, strong, it will live. You sit up carefully. The room is freezing. Your breath makes clouds. During the night, the temperature inside dropped almost to match the temperature outside. The banked fire kept you alive, but barely. You stand, your feet on the floor, ice cold. You shuffle to the hearth, kneel, your knees protest. Everything protests. You're 38 years old, but you feel like 60. Brush away the ash. The coals underneath are still glowing, still alive. Thank God you had the smallest twigs from your kindling pile. Blow gently, steadily, the twigs smolder. Smoke rises. You blow more. Finally, a small flame. You add slightly larger sticks. The flame grows. Within minutes, you have a real fire. Not large, not hot, but real, alive, growing. The heat spreads, slowly, very slowly. The fire begins to push back the cold. Just a little, just enough. Your wife wakes, sits up, assesses the situation immediately. The kid is alive. The fire is lit, the family survived. Good, she stands. Begins her day without complaint. Because what would complaining accomplish? She picks up the kid, wraps it in a piece of old cloth. The kid bleats, missing its mother. I'll take it to the barn, she says. The mother will be worried. You nod. I'll get the cow milked. This is the routine. The same routine as yesterday. The same routine as tomorrow. Work, survive, sleep, repeat. The children wake. The older girl first. She's learned to wake at first light. She has chores. The chickens need to be let out. The water needs to be fetched. Work waits for no one. The boy wakes next. Yawns, stretches, immediately goes to tend the fire. This is his job. He does it without being told. He's been trained since he was small. The baby wakes, coughing. That terrible rattling cough. Your wife stops, listens. Her face is worried. But she says nothing. She picks up the baby, holds him, rocks him, whispers to him. The grandmother is already awake. She's been awake for hours. She never sleeps well anymore. She's sitting on her pallet, wrapped in her blankets, watching everything. She nods to you. You nod back. Morning greetings. That's all. Your wife opens the door, goes out into the cold with the kid. You follow her. You both walk to the barn through the snow. The snow is higher than last night. It must have snowed more after you brought the kid in. In the barn, the mother goat bleats urgently. She smells her kid. She rushes forward. Your wife sets the kid down. Mother and baby reunite. The mother starts licking the kid, checking it, making sure it's all right. The kid begins to nurse, drinking desperately. It's hungry and cold and frightened, but it's alive. You turn to the cow, begin milking. Your hands are stiff with cold. The cow's udder is warm. The milk streams into your wooden pail. The sound is rhythmic, soothing. This is work you know. Work you've done every morning for 30 years. When the pail is half full, you stop. Never milk the cow completely dry. She needs some for herself, for the calf she's carrying. Pregnant animals are the future. They must be protected. You carry the pail back to the house. Your wife follows. Inside, the fire has grown. The room is slightly warmer. The children are moving around, starting their chores. The grandmother is spinning again, always spinning. Your wife strains the milk through a cloth, removes the bits of straw, the dirt, anything that shouldn't be there. The milk is still warm from the cow. Steam rises from it. She pours some into a bowl. She gives it to the baby. He drinks, stops coughing for a moment. The warm milk soothes his throat. She pours milk for the other children, for the grandmother, for you. Everyone gets a small amount, not much. The milk must be rationed. It must last. But warm milk in the morning is precious. It gives strength for the day's work. You drink your portion slowly, savoring it, the warmth spreading through your body, warming you from the inside, preparing you for the cold work ahead. When everyone has finished their milk, your wife pours the rest into a clay pot. This will be made into cheese later. Nothing is wasted. Every drop has value. Now comes breakfast. Your wife hangs the cooking pot over the fire, adds water from the bucket, adds barley from the grain sack, a pinch of salt. She stirs. The water begins to heat. The barley begins to soften. In 20 minutes there will be porridge. While the porridge cooks, everyone does their morning tasks. The older girl lets the chickens out. They rush into the cold, scratching at the snow, looking for anything edible. They won't find much. She scatters a handful of grain for them. Not much. Grain is precious. The chickens must make do. The boy brings in more firewood, armload after armload, stacking it near the hearth to dry. Wet wood doesn't burn well. It must be dried first. This is constant work. Bringing wood in, drying it, burning it, bringing more. Every day, all winter, you prepare your tools. Check the harness you repaired last night. It will hold for now. You wrap cloth around your hands, extra layers. Your fingers will freeze otherwise. You put on your extra cloak, the one that's more patches than original fabric, but it blocks the wind. That's all that matters. The grandmother hasn't moved. She's still spinning. Her hands know what to do. They never stop. Even when everything else stops, the hands keep moving. Twist, pull, wind, twist, pull, wind. The porridge is ready. Your wife ladles it into bowls. Everyone eats, standing, quickly. There's no time to sit and enjoy. Work is waiting. The day is waiting. The porridge is hot, bland, filling. It sits heavy in your stomach. Good. That weight will sustain you through the morning. When breakfast is finished, you put on your boots, wrapped leather, stuffed with straw for insulation. They're not warm. Nothing is warm, but they're better than nothing. You open the door, step out into the day. The cold hits you again, takes your breath away. But you're used to it now. You lean into the wind, head toward the barn, toward the fields, toward the work. Your wife stays inside. She has her own work, endless work, cleaning, mending, cooking, spinning, weaving, caring for the children, caring for the grandmother, keeping the fire alive, keeping everyone alive. This is life. This is every day. Work until dark, eat, sleep, wake, work again, forever, until you die. You wouldn't survive a day. Not really. You're soft, weak, used to comfort, used to heat, used to plenty. These people are hard, strong, used to nothing, used to survival. They endure, and that's all history really is. The story of endurance, why you wouldn't survive, modern versus medieval, 108 Massins, 118 Swiss. Let's be honest. You wouldn't last one night in a medieval peasant house. Not one night. And here's exactly why. First, the cold. You think you understand cold? You don't. When your house gets cold, you turn up the thermostat. When you're cold outside, you go inside. You have central heating, insulation, double-pane windows, weather stripping, electric blankets, space heaters. You have conquered cold. Medieval peasants hadn't conquered anything. They endured. They wrapped themselves in every piece of fabric they owned. They pressed their bodies together. They brought animals inside. They burned precious wood, and still they were cold. Always cold. For months. From November to March. Cold that seeped into their bones. Cold that made their joints ache. Cold that killed the weak, the sick, the old, the very young. You would be cold for 1 hour and start complaining. Cold for 3 hours and start panicking. Cold all night, and by morning you'd be hypothermic because your body isn't adapted. Your mind isn't adapted. You expect warmth. You need warmth. You've never learned to function in cold. Second, the hunger. You eat 3 meals a day, plus snacks. You eat until you're full. Often you eat until you're too full. You throw away food. You waste food. Food is abundant and cheap and everywhere. Medieval peasants were always hungry, not starving usually, but never full, never satisfied. They ate dense, heavy food that filled their stomachs, but left them craving more. They ate the same food every day: porridge, bread, turnips, onions, sometimes a bit of cheese, meat a few times a year. They rationed everything. Every bite was calculated, every portion measured, because the food had to last until harvest. If it didn't last, they died. You would be desperately hungry by noon of your first day, craving sugar, craving fat, craving variety. Your modern palate would reject the bland, heavy, repetitive food. You'd lose weight rapidly. Your energy would plummet. Within a week, you'd be weak. Within a month, you'd be seriously malnourished. Third, the hygiene, or lack of it. You shower daily. You brush your teeth twice a day. You wash your hands multiple times a day. You wear clean clothes. You use deodorant. You expect to be clean and you expect others to be clean. Medieval peasants rarely bathed, maybe a few times a year. Water had to be heated. Soap had to be made. Both required resources they didn't have. So they wore the same clothes for weeks or months. They didn't wash their hair. They didn't wash their bodies. They lived with lice, with fleas, with skin infections, with tooth decay, with body odor. You wake to gray light filtering through the cracks in the shutters. Dawn. You survived the night. Another night, another small victory against death and cold and darkness. Your body is stiff, sore. Everything hurts. Your back, your shoulders, your hips. The straw mattress has left marks on your skin. Your joints are frozen. Moving is difficult, painful, but you move anyway. Because the day's work is waiting, the kid is still alive, still warm against the baby. It opens its eyes, looks at you, makes a soft sound. Good, strong, it will live. You sit up carefully. The room is freezing. Your breath makes clouds. During the night, the temperature inside dropped almost to match the temperature outside. The banked fire kept you alive, but barely. You stand, your feet on the floor, ice cold. You shuffle to the hearth, kneel, your knees protest. Everything protests. You're 38 years old, but you feel like 60. Brush away the ash. The coals underneath are still glowing, still alive. Thank God you had the smallest twigs from your kindling pile. Blow gently, steadily, the twigs smolder. Smoke rises. You blow more. Finally a small flame. You add slightly larger sticks. The flame grows. Within minutes you have a real fire. Not large, not hot, but real, alive, growing. The heat spreads, slowly, very slowly. The fire begins to push back the cold. Just a little, just enough. Your wife wakes, sits up, assesses the situation immediately. The kid is alive. The fire is lit, the family survived. Good, she stands. Begins her day without complaint. Because what would complaining accomplish? She picks up the kid, wraps it in a piece of old cloth. The kid bleats, missing its mother. I'll take it to the barn, she says. The mother will be worried. You nod. I'll get the cow milked. This is the routine. The same routine as yesterday. The same routine as tomorrow. Work, survive, sleep, repeat. The children wake. The older girl first. She's learned to wake at first light. She has chores. The chickens need to be let out. The water needs to be fetched. Work waits for no one. The boy wakes next, yawns, stretches, immediately goes to tend the fire. This is his job. He does it without being told. He's been trained since he was small. The baby wakes, coughing, that terrible rattling cough. Your wife stops, listens. Her face is worried, but she says nothing. She picks up the baby, holds him, rocks him, whispers to him. The grandmother is already awake. She's been awake for hours. She never sleeps well anymore. She's sitting on her pallet, wrapped in her blankets, watching everything. She nods to you. You nod back. Morning greetings. That's all. Your wife opens the door, goes out into the cold with the kid. You follow her. You both walk to the barn through the snow. The snow is higher than last night. It must have snowed more after you brought the kid in. In the barn, the mother goat bleats urgently. She smells her kid. She rushes forward. Your wife sets the kid down. Mother and baby reunite. The mother starts licking the kid, checking it, making sure it's all right. The kid begins to nurse, drinking desperately. It's hungry and cold and frightened, but it's alive. You turn to the cow, begin milking. Your hands are stiff with cold. The cow's udder is warm. The milk streams into your wooden pail. The sound is rhythmic, soothing. This is work you know. Work you've done every morning for 30 years. When the pail is half full, you stop. Never milk the cow completely dry. She needs some for herself, for the calf she's carrying. Pregnant animals are the future. They must be protected. You carry the pail back to the house. Your wife follows. Inside, the fire has grown. The room is slightly warmer. The children are moving around, starting their chores. The grandmother is spinning again, always spinning. Your wife strains the milk through a cloth, removes the bits of straw, the dirt, anything that shouldn't be there. The milk is still warm from the cow. Steam rises from it. She pours some into a bowl, gives it to the baby. He drinks, stops coughing for a moment. The warm milk soothes his throat. She pours milk for the other children, for the grandmother, for you. Everyone gets a small amount, not much. The milk must be rationed. It must last. But warm milk in the morning is precious. It gives strength for the day's work. You drink your portion slowly, savoring it, the warmth spreading through your body, warming you from the inside, preparing you for the cold work ahead. When everyone has finished their milk, your wife pours the rest into a clay pot. This will be made into cheese later. Nothing is wasted. Every drop has value. Now comes breakfast. Your wife hangs the cooking pot over the fire, adds water from the bucket, adds barley from the grain sack, a pinch of salt. She stirs. The water begins to heat. The barley begins to soften. In 20 minutes there will be porridge. While the porridge cooks, everyone does their morning tasks. The older girl lets the chickens out. They rush into the cold, scratching at the snow, looking for anything edible. They won't find much. She scatters a handful of grain for them. Not much. Grain is precious. The chickens must make do. The boy brings in more firewood, armload after armload, stacking it near the hearth to dry. Wet wood doesn't burn well. It must be dried first. This is constant work. Bringing wood in, drying it, burning it, bringing more. Every day, all winter, you prepare your tools. Check the harness you repaired last night. It will hold for now. You wrap cloth around your hands, extra layers. Your fingers will freeze otherwise. You put on your extra cloak, the one that's more patches than original fabric, but it blocks the wind. That's all that matters. The grandmother hasn't moved. She's still spinning. Her hands know what to do. They never stop. Even when everything else stops, the hands keep moving. Twist, pull, wind, twist, pull, wind. The porridge is ready. Your wife ladles it into bowls. Everyone eats, standing, quickly. There's no time to sit and enjoy. Work is waiting. The day is waiting. The porridge is hot, bland, filling. It sits heavy in your stomach. Good. That weight will sustain you through the morning. When breakfast is finished, you put on your boots. Wrapped leather. Stuffed with straw for insulation. They're not warm. Nothing is warm, but they're better than nothing. You open the door. Step out into the day. The cold hits you again, takes your breath away. But you're used to it now. You lean into the wind, head toward the barn, toward the fields, toward the work. Your wife stays inside. She has her own work. Endless work. Cleaning, mending, cooking, spinning, weaving, caring for the children, caring for the grandmother, keeping the fire alive, keeping everyone alive. This is life. This is every day. Work until dark. Eat, sleep, wake, work again, forever, until you die. You wouldn't survive a day. Not really. You're soft, weak, used to comfort, used to heat, used to plenty. These people are hard, strong, used to nothing, used to survival. They endure, and that's all history really is. The story of endurance, why you wouldn't survive, modern versus medieval, 108 Masins, 118 Swiss. Let's be honest. You wouldn't last one night in a medieval peasant house. Not one night. And here's exactly why. First, the cold. You think you understand cold? You don't. When your house gets cold, you turn up the thermostat. When you're cold outside, you go inside. You have central heating, insulation, double-pane windows, weather stripping, electric blankets, space heaters. You have conquered cold. Medieval peasants hadn't conquered anything. They endured. They wrapped themselves in every piece of fabric they owned. They pressed their bodies together. They brought animals inside. They burned precious wood, and still they were cold. Always cold. For months. From November to March. Cold that seeped into their bones. Cold that made their joints ache. Cold that killed the weak, the sick, the old, the very young. You would be cold for 1 hour and start complaining. Cold for 3 hours and start panicking. Cold all night, and by morning you'd be hypothermic because your body isn't adapted. Your mind isn't adapted. You expect warmth. You need warmth. You've never learned to function in cold. Second, the hunger. You eat 3 meals a day, plus snacks. You eat until you're full. Often you eat until you're too full. You throw away food. You waste food. Food is abundant and cheap and everywhere. Medieval peasants were always hungry, not starving usually, but never full, never satisfied. They ate dense, heavy food that filled their stomachs, but left them craving more. They ate the same food every day: porridge, bread, turnips, onions, sometimes a bit of cheese, meat a few times a year. They rationed everything. Every bite was calculated, every portion measured, because the food had to last until harvest. If it didn't last, they died. You would be desperately hungry by noon of your first day, craving sugar, craving fat, craving variety. Your modern palate would reject the bland, heavy, repetitive food. You'd lose weight rapidly. Your energy would plummet. Within a week, you'd be weak. Within a month, you'd be seriously malnourished. Third, the hygiene, or lack of it. You shower daily. You brush your teeth twice a day. You wash your hands multiple times a day. You wear clean clothes. You use deodorant. You expect to be clean and you expect others to be clean. Medieval peasants rarely bathed, maybe a few times a year. Water had to be heated. Soap had to be made. Both required resources they didn't have. So they wore the same clothes for weeks or months. They didn't wash their hair. They didn't wash their bodies. They lived with lice, with fleas, with skin infections, with tooth decay, with body odor. You would be disgusted within hours, uncomfortable within a day, desperately craving a shower within 3 days. The smell alone would make you miserable. The itch of lice would drive you insane. The feeling of being dirty would break you psychologically. Fourth, the pain. You take pain for granted, but you never experience it for long. Headache, take aspirin. Sore back, take ibuprofen. Toothache, go to the dentist. Serious injury, hospital. Emergency room, surgery, antibiotics. You have conquered pain. Medieval peasants lived with pain. Constant pain. Their backs hurt from labor. Their hands hurt from work. Their joints hurt from cold and age. Their teeth hurt from decay. They had no painkillers, no medicine, no treatment. They just endured. They worked through the pain. They slept through the pain. They lived with the pain until they died. You would be broken by a toothache, defeated by a serious blister, desperate after a day of labor that left your back screaming, because you've never had to function through real pain. You've always had relief available. Take it away and you'd crumble. Fifth, the darkness. You live in light, always light. Street lights, house lights, phone screens, computer screens, TV screens. You can banish darkness with a flip of a switch. You never experience true darkness, true silence, true isolation. Medieval peasants lived in darkness. Every night, total darkness. Darkness so complete you couldn't see your hand in front of your face. They had only fire and maybe one candle or oil lamp if they were fortunate. When the fire died down, they lived in absolute blackness, listening to sounds, imagining dangers, praying for dawn. You would be terrified. The darkness would press on you. The sounds would make you paranoid. The isolation would break you mentally, because you're used to being connected, always stimulated, always distracted. Take that away and you'd have to face yourself, your thoughts, your fears, and you wouldn't know how. Sixth, the lack of privacy. You have your own room, your own space, your own bed. You can close a door and be alone. You need this. You need privacy. You need time alone to recharge. Medieval peasants had no privacy. Zero. They lived in one room. They slept pressed together. They worked side by side. They ate together. They relieved themselves in shared pots. They heard everything, saw everything, smelled everything. There was no escape, no solitude, no personal space. You would feel suffocated within a day, desperate for alone time, craving space, needing to be away from people. But there would be no away, just endless togetherness, and it would crush you. Seventh, the uncertainty. You have security. Bank accounts, insurance, hospitals, police, fire departments. 911, social safety nets. If something goes wrong, there's a system to help you. You can plan. You can save. You can protect yourself. Medieval peasants had nothing. No savings, no insurance, no safety net. If the harvest failed, they starved. If they got sick, they died. If their house burned down, they lost everything. If bandits came, there was no one to call. Every day was uncertain. Every night was a gamble. Would they survive until morning? Would the fire stay lit? Would the baby stop coughing? Would there be enough food? They never knew. They just hoped and prayed and endured. You would be paralyzed by anxiety, unable to function without certainty, without control, without security, because you've never learned to live with real uncertainty. You've never had to accept that tomorrow might not come. So no, you wouldn't survive. Not even close. You'd last maybe 3 days before you'd be begging to go home, back to heat, back to food, back to comfort, back to security, and there's no shame in that.